Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Swallowed Star Part 217 based on novel. So let's start. Moshe Body was stunned. He looked around and found that the sky and land hundreds of millions of miles around him was already blocked from the outside. Only 9 Remoteness Master could have acted so instantaneously. At the same time, other indigenous creatures worshipping in other royal seas could only see ordinary bloody seas even if they looked in the direction of Luo Feng. A large head floated in the sky, looking down at Moshe Body. A cold voice echoed across the entire bloody sky and land. "Human. You're trying my patience." Moshe Body was dazed. 9 Remoteness Master really did know everything that was going on in 9 Remoteness World. Luo Feng appeared as Moshe Body now. Yet 9 Remoteness Master called him human, which meant he knew the human body was his original one. Fortunately, he didn't just kill me right away, Moshe Body thought to himself. He still cares about his status, and he has a close relationship with the ancestral god school, so he didn't attack an heir like me. But what am I supposed to do now? He has a noble and special status, even with the 3 ancestral gods of the ancestral god school. The only reason he didn't attack me was for the sake of his status. If I further provoke him, he'll kill me directly, and neither ancestral god school nor the human race will be able to do anything about it. Firstly, I must not provoke him again. Secondly, I need the water in that bloody sea. 9 Remoteness Master might have figured out what I'm really up to because I stole twigs and leaves of the world trees before, but that's just my assumption. I stole the leaf from Tree Island, which belongs to the world trees. For what it's worth, the most powerful world trees have the power of a universe master. Then again, 9 Remoteness Master wouldn't have been watching that place constantly. No great beings like being watched all the time. Even I don't like it, let alone the most powerful world tree. Perhaps 9 Remoteness Master didn't even notice me stealing the leaf of world trees. If he didn't notice that, he might not even know why I took the water. Thoughts flooded Moshe Body's mind when the giant head of 9 Remoteness Master was roaring, as he needed to prepare for the worst. "Greetings, Universe Master," Moshe Body said, saluting him. He changed into his original Earthling body while Moshe Body went back to the world ring. Since 9 Remoteness Master had called him human, Luo Feng definitely needed to show his original Earthling body out of respect. The giant head looked down at Luo Feng. "Why didn't you leave after escaping the circle?" I wanted to take my chances," Luo Feng said respectfully. "After breaking out of the circle, I thought nobody would identify my Moshe Body, and the other side of 9 Remoteness Whirlpool has always been kept a secret to all generations of heirs of the ancestral god school. I wanted to take the opportunity to see it. I thought I could be lucky enough to avoid being found out, but now, after seeing you, Universe Master, I realize everything was under your watch." The giant head was observing Luo Feng with its head down. It appeared satisfied that Luo Feng was answering with respect and tranquility. "My real name is 9 Remoteness Master," the giant head said. 9 Remoteness Master, Luo Feng responded respectfully. "I've heard something about you, Human Blade River Emperor. You have a clone talent technique, and you can revive yourself even if I kill you. That's why you're so calm, isn't it?" Luo Feng responded, "I'm meeting 9 Remoteness Master now. How can I not be nervous? I'm just pretending to be calm." "Ha ha ha." The giant head burst into laughter, and the sound swept across the entire bloody sky and land like great waves. It stopped after a long while. Gradually, its face became apathetic. "You should have known that the 108 royal seas, especially the bloody ones, are off limits. You should have gathered the information in my world. How dare you steal the water? Speak, 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 speak." It penetrated Luo Feng's soul and echoed in his mind. All of a sudden, he was trapped in illusion. Break. Luo Feng had a stronger will than most universe knights. It was not enough for 9 Remoteness Master to control him with only his voice. 9 Remoteness Master looked down at Luo Feng. Surprise flashed across his giant face. He was surprised that a sector lord could resist that voice, as even some universe knights could be tempted. I'm curious about the legendary 108 royal seas, so I came here to see them, he said. I find that there's nothing special about the water in other royal seas, but the water in this bloody seas not only looks like blood but also smells like blood. I was curious about the secret behind this, so I took some water. I thought a little water was nothing, as the bloody sea is so large, so I took my chances. Took your chances? The giant head's voice grew colder. Humph. You knew it was off limits, but you touched it anyway. As such, you should prepare for your punishment. Luo Feng got scared. Originally, he didn't want to use the favor 9 Remoteness Master owed his teacher, but he couldn't worry about that now. 9 Remoteness Master, he said. No, said 9 Remoteness Master. I actually wanted to. Just when Luo Feng was to use the favor, he stopped talking when he heard 9 Remoteness Master say, I actually wanted to. The giant head sneered at him. You thought I wanted to kill you? Humph. I did want to kill you, but I gave up that plan because you're a great being trained by the Ancestral God School. Ancestral God School, said Luo Feng. There are formal members and sub-members in Ancestral God School, said the giant head. Sub-members fight more than formal members. Sub-members are the most powerful force of the Ancestral God School. Luo Feng nodded. There were only a few formal members in the Ancestral God School, while countless peerless talents from hundreds of millions of races were admitted as sub-members of Ancestral God School, like candidate prophets, candidate deified generals, and high achievers of beast god inheritance, many of whom were at the universe overlord level. It was a mighty force. I am the guarding godly master, 9 Remoteness. The giant head looked down at Luo Feng. You, Blade River Emperor, are a member of the suborganization, and you're a crucial one. Luo Feng blinked his eyes fast. Guarding godly master? There are guarding prophets, guarding knights, a guarding knight master, and a guarding godly master in the suborganization, the giant head said, looking down at Luo Feng. Each guarding godly master is the head of a power. From today on, you, Blade River Emperor, are the guarding prophet of the suborganization of the Ancestral God School, and I am your guarding godly master. The stronger you become, the higher your status will be. I'll spare your life if you accept these terms. If you don't, you know what will happen. Luo Feng was dazed. Amazing. 9 Remoteness Master was a guarding godly master. Luo Feng had originally planned to use the favor 9 Remoteness Master owed his primal Chaos City leader teacher. Little did he realize that the Ancestral God School had already had its eyes on him. You won't be an enemy to your human race even if you're in the suborganization, the giant head continued. You'll be very free in the suborganization, and there will be no boundaries to your behavior. Once in a while, there are some issues of the Ancestral God School that need dealing with, and that's when an order comes. You can even write your reasons to reject the mission if you don't want to do it. So, do you want to be a part of it? Luo Feng blinked twice, then gave a salutation. Greetings, guarding godly master. Smart, 9 Remoteness Master said. Good. This is Ancestral God Token. A black token showed up out of nowhere. It dropped from the sky and fell in front of Luo Feng. Luo Feng took the token, which was heavy and cold. There were only 2 words on the token, Ancestral God. It was sculpted by engravings that Luo Feng didn't recognize, but he knew it said Ancestral God. It's integrated with your life imprint, and you're the only one in the Ancestral God School who can use it, 9 Remoteness Master said. You can contact the Ancestral God School with this token, and the school uses it to announce its tasks. You can get in touch with the Ancestral God School as long as you're in the universe. Luo Feng was startled. This was how the virtual universe worked. Only through words, 9 Remoteness Master continued. The Ancestral God token is unique. Don't lose it. I understand. Luo Feng felt relieved. It was impressive that they only communicated through words. Apparently, it was difficult to make an Ancestral God token. If anyone in the Ancestral God School comes for you, show them the token, and they'll know you. Got it, Luo Feng answered respectfully. Now, go. An invisible force surrounded Luo Feng. Luo Feng disappeared. The giant head said, Blade River Emperor belongs to me now. I didn't fight for him. On the contrary, it was him who came to my 9 remoteness world and offended me. That was why I took him. How will the others react when they discover I took Blade River Emperor? Ha ha ha. Last time, Flame Sky got Yu Chong Emperor, but I got Blade River Emperor. Ha ha ha. Luo Feng looked around and found himself in the middle of deep space. He could see 9 remoteness space afar. I'm outside 9 remoteness space now? Luo Feng was thrilled by 9 remoteness master's skills. He felt exhilarated to be out, but he didn't dare show his feelings yet. He didn't know if 9 remoteness master was still watching him. He ordered his soul slave to cast God Country Transportation. A blurry, golden light flashed. Luo Feng took his soul slave and stepped into the light, then disappeared into space. In the palace of the primal secret region. Ha ha ha. Luo Feng showed up in the palace and was overjoyed. Finally, he had successfully retrieved the water of Bloody Sea. Perhaps 9 remoteness master didn't know why Luo Feng took the water from the Bloody Sea, or perhaps he knew already, but he had other plans. Regardless, Luo Feng had achieved his goal. I don't care whether he knows or not. The point is, I can be stronger. I can start to breed my 3rd body with the water from the Bloody Sea. Luo Feng was exhilarated. He thought he could get some water from the Bloody Sea with the favor from Primal Chaos City leader, but he hadn't expected to be admitted to the suborganization in exchange. There are many great beings in the human race who made it to the suborganization. Luo Feng was beaming. With my power getting stronger, I'm basically guaranteed to finish the 5th level inheritance, especially after getting so many beast god inheritance opportunities. I'll have to join the suborganization someday in the future. Candidate prophets, candidate deified generals, and heirs who completed the 5th level or higher beast god inheritance had to join the ancestral god school suborganization, yet Luo Feng had been invited in now. Incredible talents like Xu Chong Emperor, Bark Mirror Emperor, and Luo Feng were highly valued by the ancestral god school, as they could rival Universe Knights as undying fighters and would be Universe Overlords' match once they became Universe Knights. It would only take a little training for them to have the power of Universe Masters after becoming Universe Knights. After all, peerless talents like these wouldn't come back to Borhinia Island if they failed on the Beast God path, but they could still make great accomplishments following the time and space path, which was why the Ancestral God School admitted them in advance to make sure they didn't let these future supreme beings slip. I'll at least achieve something following the Beast God path, Luo Feng thought. I might as well join now since I'll join in the future anyway. Especially since it helped me avoid being killed. Haha. Luo Feng certainly hadn't expected himself to become a follower of 9 Remoteness Master. Excellent. Excellent. The more Luo Feng thought about it, the more excited he got. In the palace, Tian Chen Emperor gave a salutation. Congratulations, Master. Okay. Luo Feng waved his hand and got the world ring temporarily kept by Tian Chen Emperor. He sat down with his legs crossed while Mosha Body entered the internal world with the water from the Bloody Sea. The core, in the internal world. The 600-mile-long golden horned beast howled with excitement, producing a sound that was like far-reaching thunder. There are 9 world trees in total, while 9 Remoteness Master has 108 princes. Mosha Body stood in the sky, watching the basin-sized blood churning and smell of bloody permeating. There are 109 creatures of the same race counting 9 Remoteness Master. 109 of them. 9 Remoteness Master is indeed powerful, but I refuse to believe that every prince has such an outrageous life level. It will succeed. It must succeed. Mosha Body stared at the lump of water from the Bloody Sea. Although he presumed the chance of success to be high, Luo Feng wasn't sure of the prince's life levels. Thinking about his last failure, he couldn't help but be anxious. The moment that determines my fate. Both Mosha Body and Golden Horned Beast calmed down and gazed at the churning blood. Surrounded by the world energies of the internal world, the water from the Bloody Sea shot up and flew high in the sky. It grew dead silent in the internal world. After a long while, the lump of water flew to the center of the internal world. Talent technique, clone, breed. Luo Feng said, controlling the entire internal world with his mind. The internal world started to tremble after the doppelganger technique was triggered the last time. This time, boundless world energies flocked to the lump of bloody seawater at the center of the world. The water evaporated immediately, and only the basic life material was wrapped by the world energies. A golden ball showed up, high in the sky. It had already started to breed the third body. Luo Feng's mind sensed everything in an instant. It succeeded. Luo Feng realized. All the life material has been resolved, and it has started to be bred. Ha ha ha. Mosha body guffawed. My third body is meant to be 9 remoteness of the bloody sea, and I'll have boundless godly power in the future. Even if I die, I can be reborn again. This is real immortality. Oh. Golden horned beast roared with thrill. Excellent. Excellent. Luo Feng stood up, beaming. He grabbed Tian Chen Emperor and said, Tian Chen, drink with me. He even summoned some other Emperor limit slaves, and they started to drink their fill. Luo Feng sensed that it would take over 600 years to breed the third body. The more stable and powerful the internal world was, the easier it was to breed a body, but the stronger the body was, the longer it took for the body to be bred. It had taken Luo Feng over a year to breed the earthling body, while it took him 3 years and 9 months to breed the Mosha body. As for the bloody C9 remoteness body, it would take him over 600 years. If Luo Feng didn't choose to swallow the metal to improve his internal world but turn to the 9th level sector lord internal body of the ordinary golden horned beast, it would take him more than 10,000 years. I already expected that it would take such a long time. It's a special life form after all. Luo Feng was overjoyed. He had taken so many risks and tried so many different methods just for his third body. Now that his internal world had finally started to breed it, all it took was cultivation. Only 600 years. He could spend the 600 years practicing, and it would be like a blink of an eye. After which, his third body would be finished. I'll go to the ancestral god school. I'll need to study law comprehension in the coming 600 years. Being undying isn't difficult for me, but it'll take a lot of effort to be a universe knight. Luo Feng knew clearly that he could only fully comprehend the teleportation part of his space law. As for space strangle and space seal, he could only comprehend a small portion of it. The complete space law required the combination of all 3 parts. Countless peerless talents comprehended all 3 but had been stuck at the last step for an eternity like True Yang Emperor, Zhuchong Emperor, and Bark Mirror Emperor. Luo Feng couldn't underestimate it. The more I accumulate, the more beneficial it is for a breakthrough. Besides, I've fully comprehended the 3rd chapter, which means I need to create the 3rd move for moon policy and star map. Luo Feng realized he had lots of things to do. After drinking, Luo Feng told Primal Chaos City Leader what happened. Primal Chaos City Leader was thrilled to know that Luo Feng didn't use his favor and had started to breed his third body. Haha. Primal Chaos City Leader said. Even though the powerful universe masters close to the Ancestral God School are the leaders of different streams of the suborganization of Ancestral God School, they only belong to the suborganization. This 9 remoteness. He's lived so long that he thinks competing with the other old guys is fun. Luo Feng, work hard. Since you're so valued by the Ancestral God School, you might get some true treasures in the future. Think about Zhuchong Emperor who obtained 2. Take anything you can when the time comes. Yes, teacher, Luo Feng answered. On the same day, Luo Feng's original earthling body left Primal Secret Region and arrived at Bohinia Island through God Country transportation. Luo Feng gathered with his teacher True Yang Knight, and some of his friends like Thousand Rain Emperor, Cha Man Emperor, and Lili Emperor after being back to Bohinia Island, and the news spread. Blade River Emperor is back. Blade River Emperor is back from 9 remoteness space. Were Blade River Emperor's true treasures left at the central place where 9 remoteness whirlpool leads to? They have to be. Even universe knights aren't likely to survive that place. Blade River Emperor must have revived himself using his clone technique. But I can't sense Blade River Emperor's sector lord aura. Same. I saw Blade River Emperor, too, but I didn't sense his sector lord aura. I think Blade River Emperor still has his true treasures. How is it possible? Even universe knights can't survive that place. I think either Blade River Emperor has become undying or he got a new true treasure. New true treasure? Humans are a peak race. Those lower-tier true treasures might be attracted to ordinary races, but they are just ordinary to humans, and they have an abundant number of them. The news spread like wildfire through the open-air square in the world of glory, and Bark Mirror Emperor knew it, too. In the palace, Bark Mirror Emperor's godly body had fully recovered. However, he looked colder and crueler. He was innately gloomy and ferocious, even more so after being crushed by True Yang Knight. No Sector Lord aura? Bark Mirror Emperor clenched his teeth. Did he become undying or get a new true treasure? I'll kill him directly if he's undying. I'm a noble and powerful special life form. If he has a new true treasure, then I'll take it by force. Blade River Emperor, True Yang Knight. I'll have my revenge. Luo Feng sat in his palace and started practicing after spending quality time with his teacher and friends, in spite of the spreading rumors outside. It had been 500 years since Luo Feng came back from 9 remoteness space. In the land of valuables of the ancestral god school. The end of the mountain range was not visible. Mountains stood shoulder to shoulder. Some of them were towering, and some were precipitous. There were lakes of all sizes between the mountains. A fighter stood using his snake tail to wipe clean the rock behind him. I haven't seen a new valuable for a long time. They say there are countless valuables here. It wouldn't make sense if valuables showed up all the time. No matter how many valuables there are, they will be gone in the end. It's boring if the valuables don't appear. Valuables coming into sight, that view is thrilling. Expectation flashed through the triangular eyes of the snake-tailed other race. I really hope that view is for me. Haha, someone laughed all of a sudden. You've been here tens of millions of times. Stop dreaming. It's Blade River Emperor, said a nearby heir. Blade River Emperor's here, another replied. Blade River hasn't shown up after coming back from 9 remoteness space. The first place he chose to land is in the land of valuables. Where is he? Where is Blade River Emperor? Many heirs were looking in all directions. Some even flew up in the sky, and soon, they all turned in the same direction. A silver-armored human youngster was flying directly to the tallest mountain in the land of valuables. Luo Feng looked around and rejoiced in his heart. Looks like I'm famous among the heirs of ancestral god school. What made Luo Feng overjoyed was the progress he had made in the past 500 years, especially the maturing of his third body. It'll take around 100 more years for my third body to mature, after which I can become undying. I need to come here before turning into an undying fighter. Luo Feng glanced at the mountain range where there were innumerable valuables. I'm a Sector Lord now. Perhaps some supreme beings prepared valuables for Sector Lord level heirs. If I become undying, I won't be able to take them anymore. His first target was the tallest of the mountains. Each of the 108 mountains stored one of the most precious of 108 valuables, and only 42 of them had been acquired by heirs. The others were still waiting for the suitable heirs. Look, Blade River Emperor went to the tallest mountains. It seems Blade River Emperor came here for valuables, too. He came here once before, and after confronting Beisha Knight, he left instantly without taking a proper tour around the land of valuables. I thought he wasn't interested in this place. Finally, he came. 108 most precious valuables are equally distributed among the 108 tallest mountains in the land of valuables. And his first target is the tallest one. He's ambitious. Among the great beings of other races standing afar, some were jealous of or even hostile against Luo Feng. With a loud snort, a figure with golden hair and eyes walked out from the apex of a mountain. His back was slightly bent, giving him the appearance of an aggressive beast. Bark Mirror Emperor. Bark Mirror Emperor, do you think Blade River Emperor can get a valuable? Asked an heir. He's targeting the highest mountain, several heirs beside him said. Bark Mirror Emperor smirked. The valuables on the highest mountains have been here ever since the ancestral god school was founded. Rumor has it that they were placed by one of the ancestral gods. A few Sector Lord level special life forms throughout the history have tried, but none of them could get a valuable. As for Blade River Emperor, he's so unqualified for the land of valuables. The heirs around him nodded. Bark Mirror Emperor, came a voice from a towering figure. Bark Mirror Emperor followed the direction of the voice and spotted Bei Shan Knight. Bei Shan Knight glanced at Luo Feng afar first, then said, Blade River Emperor has disappeared for so many years. And now, the first place he goes is the land of valuables. It seems he really wants a valuable. I think his efforts will be in vain. Begone! Bark Mirror Emperor suddenly shouted. Bei Shan Knights I went wide in surprise. Humph! Do you think you can be my ally just because both of us hold grudges against that Blade River Emperor? You damn one-eyed thing who bullied an undying heir from my Northern Territory alliance. Get the hell away from me. Bark Mirror Emperor showed his fangs and stared at Bei Shan Knight coldly. Bei Shan Knight's body trembled with anger. He was a Universe Knight who had heard that Bark Mirror Emperor was ruthless, greedy, and unapproachable, which was why he hadn't approached him until now. Now that there was a feud between Bark Mirror Emperor and Blade River Emperor, he thought they could be closer because of their commonality. He was willing to become friends with Bark Mirror Emperor, who was already his equal. Once Bark Mirror Emperor became a Universe Knight, he could become a Universe Overlord with some proper training very soon. But Bark Mirror Emperor clearly did not share this sentiment. Okay, said Bei Shan Knight, so furious that his face was twitching. Bark Mirror Emperor, how ruthless you are. Bark Mirror Emperor clenched his teeth, snorted, and flew away. Bark Mirror Emperor simmered. Just who does he think he is? The heirs around him gazed at each other with dismay. Heirs like Bark Mirror Emperor and Juchong Emperor were so powerful that they didn't need to respect Universe Knights. There were differences between Universe Knights. Those who were Universe Overlords could crush Bark Mirror Emperor without any problem. Even Bark Mirror Emperor and Juchong Emperor needed proper training to become Universe Overlords after becoming Universe Knights. Without a doubt, these special life forms, whose life levels were thousands of times higher than ordinary life forms, had great potential to become Universe Overlords, which was why the top superpowers like the Northern Territory Alliance and the Ancestral God School all valued special life forms and even gave them true treasures. Luo Feng didn't see the confrontation between Bark Mirror Emperor and Bei Shan Knight. He landed on the tallest of the mountains. The tallest mountain means the most precious valuable, he said. Rumor has it that an ancestral god put the valuable here personally. Luo Feng stood on the top of the mountain and walked around, but nothing happened. The rules said the valuable would show itself if an heir was qualified and stood on the mountain. If there was no change, Luo Feng was not qualified. He had failed. The heirs standing afar began to gossip about what they had just seen. As for Bark Mirror Emperor, he had a rare smile on his face. It is 90% possible that Blade River Emperor is Luo Feng, he muttered. Luo Feng is True Yang's disciple. Bark Mirror Emperor snorted and stared at Luo Feng. Although he had hunted Luo Feng before, he wasn't quite as belligerent now as he had been. He had, after all, almost been killed by True Yang Knight. That encounter was the closest he had ever been to death. Bark Mirror Emperor was infuriated. He hated True Yang Knight and swore that he would kill True Yang once he became a Universe Knight. Blade River Emperor was likely to be a disciple of True Yang, who went after him to avenge Blade River Emperor, which made Bark Mirror Emperor antagonistic against Blade River Emperor, too. True Yang. Blade River. Bark Mirror said the two names in a low voice. Bark Mirror Emperor, an heir called out. Blade River Emperor failed again. This time, he went to the second tallest mountain, and he stopped by other mountains and lakes. Nothing happened. He arrived at the second tallest mountain. Haha. Nothing happened at all. The heirs kept talking. Bark Mirror Emperor smiled more and more broadly. He said, "It's not that easy to get a valuable. The most precious 108 valuables here have been attracting heirs since the beginning of the universe, and only 42 of them have been taken. On average, the time elapsed between two valuables being taken is practically an eternity. The conditions are harsh. One mountain after another, one lake after another. Luo Feng kept flying and landing, Failed. Luo Feng failed again and again, from the tallest mountain to the 60th tallest mountain. He also stopped by lots of other places along the route, which took him tens of hours. Meanwhile, undying fighters watched while drinking glasses of wine. "It's so difficult to open a valuable," Luo Feng said. However, he did not panic. He had come here, after all, simply to try. "It seems lots of other races hate me." Luo Feng flew to a canyon and glanced at the onlookers afar. In the past tens of hours, he had been watched. Most of the heirs were just watching him try for fun, while some were actually jealous or hostile toward him. In fact, most weren't hostile toward Luo Feng personally. Instead, they were hostile toward the whole human race. The human race was a peak race in the universe and had committed countless massacres in the universe. Other races wanted to kill them. Humans were ruthless when it came to killing other races, and generation after generation, many races had learned to loathe humans. The peak races became peak races through killing. You can't be a peak race if you're merciful. You need resources to become a peak race, and you need to kill to get the resources. This was what True Yang had told Luo Feng once when they were drinking together. Presently, Luo Feng spotted some other races flying toward him, cursing the human race. However, Luo Feng just sneered. Those who were not his kin were sure to be of a different heart. Everyone was fighting for their own race, and there was no right or wrong. Humans needed to kill or enslave a plethora of animals to survive on Earth. If humans were not pitiless enough, they might have been killed off by those other animals. The same rule applied. Luo Feng had such a strong will that he disregarded all the curses. This is the universe. The weak are the prey of the strong. Luo Feng arrived at the 106th tallest mountain. He didn't have much hope by now. However, just as Luo Feng landed on the 106th tallest mountain, the entire mountain started to quiver, which attracted the attention of all the heirs present. Suddenly, hustle and bustle filled the land of valuables. Luo Feng felt the mountain quivering right after he landed on its top, even before he moved. He was bewildered. Was this the sign that the treasure was opening? The mountain kept trembling more and more fiercely. The heirs who had been chatting casually or looking for treasures all shot up and looked toward the mountain Luo Feng stood on. Soon, the sky was filled with heirs from all races in every direction. The treasure will be opened. He opened the treasure. Bark Mirror Emperor flew up too. Impossible. He opened his golden eyes wide and saw that there were 7 heirs on the trembling mountain, including Luo Feng. It has to be one of the other 6 heirs. It has to be. He hated Blade River Emperor from the bottom of his heart and was not willing to see him get the valuable. It was the 106th tallest mountain. Although it was only ranked 106th, it was still one of the top 108 valuables, and each was as valuable as a true treasure. Even the lower-ranked valuables were a match for most average true treasures. Bark Mirror Emperor only had one ordinary true treasure and refused to believe that Blade River Emperor could also get one. Unfortunately for Bark Mirror Emperor, that wasn't his decision. The other heirs standing on the mountain were thrilled. The valuable. It's the valuable. The mountain has started to tremble. The treasure will be opened. It's me. I just touched this tree. I must have triggered it. No, it's me. I triggered the valuable. The heirs were all excited and nervous. Even though they all knew that the mountain had only trembled after Blade River Emperor landed on it, they still held out hope that it could be one of them. They wouldn't give up, as long as there was even a slight trace of hope. After all, this was one of the top 108 valuables. The 5-colored Aurora Lake was right above the mountain, and suddenly, thousands of auroras started to swirl like whirlpools. Thousands of auroras dropped from the sky, each of them more than 6,000 miles long and comprised of 5 colors. They dove like meteors and enveloped the mountain instantly, separating it from the outside world like an impossibly massive bead curtain. The heirs felt an upwelling of emotions looking at the magnificent scene. Breathtaking. The thousands of auroras bore incredibly energy. Just a few of them was all it would take to kill a universe knight. It was, after all, the guarding true treasure of the first power of the universe, and also the most powerful true treasure in the universe. The heirs continued to argue with one another. It's mine. The valuable is mine. The auroras shrouded the entire mountain, together with the heirs standing on the top and hillside. Suddenly, strong forces swept across them, teleporting them outside the veil. No, no. It's mine. The heirs from other races complained. Outside the veil, the many onlookers speculated the implications of the scene. Who opened the valuable? It has to be Blade River Emperor. I saw him land on the mountain. There are lots of heirs on the mountain, and some are on the hillside. Perhaps it's a valuable hidden at the hillside. They were engaged in a heated debate when they saw Su, one creature after another, large or small, covered with scales, transparent, or liquid alike, were kicked out by the five-colored Aurora Lake. Who triggered the valuable? They're all kicked out. All of us. It's Blade River Emperor. He's the only one still there. The heirs who got out grudgingly looked at each other, confirming that only Blade River Emperor was still there. Those watching from afar started to search for Blade River Emperor, but they couldn't find him. They knew instantly that he was the one who had triggered the valuable. Bark Mirror Emperor clenched his teeth and showed his fangs, watching furiously. But what could he do? The heirs beside him looked at each other but didn't dare to make a sound, as they knew that Bark Mirror Emperor was infuriated. Beishan Knight looked at Bark Mirror Emperor afar and cursed him. Imbecile. An idiotic, crazy, ferocious beast with no intelligence. Ferocious beasts were creatures in the universe with great power but limited intelligence. Even though Luo Feng couldn't see anything happening outside, he could guess what was happening. He smiled, feeling the mountain tremble under his feet. It's me who gets the valuable. He had heard about the scene when a valuable within the land of valuables was triggered. Some of the supreme beings in the ancestral god school had designed specific conditions for unlocking the valuables hidden there, and those conditions were managed by the five-colored Aurora Lake. It monitored everything it covered, and every move by the heirs was under careful surveillance. For instance, when Luo Feng was assassinated and revived, he had the apparent aura of a sector lord. Five-colored Aurora Lake would then record information that he was a sector lord with clone technique, and the attributes were automatically collected and processed by the lake. Once the attributes matched the conditions of a certain valuable, it would reveal that valuable if a qualifying heir arrived at its location. However, for the sake of confidentiality, it would blockade the area where the valuable was hidden to make sure that only the valuable contributor, the valuable opener, and the five-color Aurora Lake knew what the valuable was. When Seven-Blade Emperor had gotten a valuable, nobody had known what valuable he had acquired. There was only one object in the world ring. An ancient ship. It was 75,000 miles long and 19,000 miles wide. Shining with silver light, the ship looked more like a seagoing warship than a spaceship. What is it? Luo Feng snuck his spiritual force into the ancient ship and merged a trace of spirit imprint into the ship. All of a sudden, a great amount of information flooded his mind, which amazed him. Luo Feng reached out his hand. A flash of silver flight flew out and fell into his palm. It was an ancient ship the size of a glass marble. It is the Flying Palace type treasure. Luo Feng's eyes were blazing, and he gazed at the ancient ship with excitement. It's only a top-tier treasure, but it's believed to be as precious as a true treasure. No wonder. It's a Flying Palace type, and there are definitely great beings willing to trade it with a true treasure. Luo Feng instantly knew everything about the ancient ship. It was called Silver Dragon Phantom Ship, and it was a top-tier treasure and functioned like Skywolf Palace. It would protect the user as long as he was inside the ship. Unless the enemy destroyed the ship, a material attack would be rendered almost useless, and a soul attack would also be significantly weakened. If Luo Feng had this ship when he was hunted by Bark Mirror Emperor, he couldn't be hurt by Bark Mirror Emperor as long as he hid inside the ship, and he could get rid of Bark Mirror Emperor with the ship. Similarly, Master of Skywolf had escaped the dreadful attack that came from entire Burning 9 Remoteness Ocean with the help of his Skywolf Palace. Armor can only weaken a small portion of material attacks and soul attacks, Luo Feng said, his eyes gleaming. But this Silver Dragon Phantom Ship is enormous, and staying inside is like being protected by a huge fortress. It's better even than the most expensive godly base of the automaton race. Though Silver Dragon Phantom Ship couldn't change its direction flexibly, it was incredibly speedy, running on a straight line, and had mighty defending power. Haha. This is a top-tier treasure. Universe Knights definitely won't be able to destroy it. As for Universe Masters, even they might need to use significant energies to damage a top-tier treasure. Luo Feng was overjoyed. Inside the Silver Dragon Phantom ship, together with his Tower Pearl to protect his soul, once he became undying. Luo Feng couldn't help grinning. Of course, a valuable needed adequate power to be utilized. Otherwise, it would be taken by a supreme being if the user couldn't drive the ancient ship fast enough. I can use this Silver Dragon Phantom ship once I become undying. Luo Feng nodded. When I become much stronger in the future and able to drive Star Tower, that will be my trump card. After that, this Silver Dragon Phantom ship will be my vehicle only on the surface. Silver Dragon Phantom ship sounds redundant. I'll just call you Galaxy. Luo Feng named it after its aura of silver light, glimmering like the stars in the galaxy. Treasures all had their own original names, but most of them sounded redundant. Purple Clock was one such example. Its original name was Demon Note Flame God Clock, but Luo Feng called it Purple Clock instead. Galaxy, you'll be my partner until I can drive Star Tower, Luo Feng thought, looking at the ancient ship in his hand. This video will end here.